Right, I see how.
Somebody's microphone is on.
Questions, comments, motion? Anyone want to make a motion?
I motion to approve.
You got a motion from Waterford, second from Oakdale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. 5A, recommend the policy board. Is Karen ready?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to item 5A. Recommend the policy board adopt a resolution approving the fiscal year 26-27 draft budget and overall work program.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Management and Finance. I'm Karen Dunger, and I'll be taking this item. The item before you is the draft fiscal year 26-27 budget and overall work program. The overall work program is a document that identifies the projects, work tasks, and work products that are required of a metropolitan planning organization. The draft OWP was submitted to our funding partners, FHWA, FTA, and Caltrans by March 12th for their review to ensure that our work and plan aligns with federal guidelines and that our funding is appropriately allocated to those objectives. So on the screen now, you can see what our federal allocations are for the fiscal year 26-27. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of change from fiscal year 25-26. Basically, there's a little bit more in the CMAQ funding, or less in the CMAQ funding for this year and a little less for the FTA, but otherwise it remains consistent with 25-26. Next slide, please. So our state allocations also are similar. However, this fiscal year, our SB1 Sustainable Communities Grant is coming to an end, so that money will not over. The REAP administration is down a little bit, only based on usage from the current fiscal year. And so our total state revenues for this year are $400,000. Next slide, please. One last comment on those revenues. That does not include any carryover revenue. Those funds will be determined and finalized in August when StanCog submits their certification of expenditures to Caltrans. And so the amounts that you see in the schedules that are attached to the staff report are estimations of what funding we believe will be available for next year's use. Okay, I'm sorry, now next slide, thank you. Our service and supplies is remaining pretty close to the same amount for next year. We don't expect a whole lot of change in this. Next slide, please. Our operating contracts, we do expect to go down by $798,000. This is primarily due to the extensive contracts that were put into 25-26 for administrative support and staff augmentation. So at this time, our operating contracts for fiscal year 26-27 is $2,261,557,000, and we are that should reduce those by $798,762. Next slide, please. So our salaries and benefits total for fiscal year 26-27 are $3,761,550. This is for salaries and benefits for staff for 17 positions. And we've made these adjustments for fiscal year 25-26 in our final amendment for the year, that we reduced our staffing for actual staff positions that were filled. With the reduction of staff that we had, we felt that that was necessary to cover those contracts that we had for the administrative contracts. Going forward, those will now be filled with actual employees. So that's the increase that you're experiencing. Isaac Marino did express interest in wanting a breakdown by position that shows all the details of the salaries, the benefits, workman's comp, all of that. We did not have time to put that together for today, but we will be sending that out tomorrow to each of you. So you'll have the total breakdown of those positions, salaries, and benefits by position. So next slide, please. So our projects for next year are similar as well. We do expect an increase for those. Basically, we do have to program all of the funding that we expect to have for this fiscal year. And so we are expecting an increase of $1.7 million. These would be to hold these funds and make them available for next year. Next slide, please. So our total budget for fiscal year 26-27 is $14,036,009, which is a total increase over last year of $3,694. I'm sorry, $3,694,599. This total increase does include the full CMAQ funding and the expenditures, and that is a program that should carry over for 3 years. So that does include more funding than just this year, but Caltrans does rely on us to fully fund our programs to cover 100% of what their funding is offering. And so that's really one of the bigger differences between the 2 years. Next slide, please. So our comments were received by our funding partners on this document on April the 3rd of 2026. The comments have been incorporated into the final draft that's been posted on the StanCog's website. We do have to submit our final document to Caltrans by May 8th of 2026, which is before our policy board will have the action item to approve this by resolution. They will, once it has been approved by resolution, we will amend the copy and send the final document for Caltrans to adopt in full following the policy board meeting on May 20th of 2026. And that concludes my presentation, and I am available for any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions?
Karen, this is Michael, City Waterford. Can you go back over the revenues? It seemed like the revenues were quite a bit different than what I see in my packet.
Yeah, I was wondering, I didn't see the local revenue addressed and the variability there.
So I don't have the local revenues on there. I apologize for that. This was primarily showing the allocations were for this year. The local revenues that we were showing on our schedule would include funding that we received for interest and for TDA funds and Measure L funds and for trying to remember what the third one was. Sorry, I don't have
125.
Yes. So those would be the funding opportunities for the local revenue. I'm so sorry I didn't put a slide together for that.
I guess, when I look at the federal revenues and the state revenues and I add those two together, I don't come near $14 million.
Yeah, Mike, that's because these are just the allocations we receive for the current fiscal year. This does not include the carryover funding that you're seeing on the schedule that you have. Our carryover funding is actually pretty high right now because StanCog's been short of staff and we haven't been fully billing out our revenues for the last year or two. So we do have a heavy carryover at this time, but we are expecting to allocate that money going forward. And we are staffing up, so we will be using that money.
Okay, I just was, look, when I look at your spreadsheet in the packet, they matched, revenues and expenses matched, but on this presentation, they were quite different, so I was looking.
Yes, I apologize for that, but yeah, these are just showing you what the new funding for this year is. The schedule that you have in your packet does include the carryover, the full carryover that we're expecting to have certified in August.
Karen, can you explain the SB 125 admin and the Measure L Regional Project SR 132 revenue?
So the SR 132 revenue is an amount set aside for StanCog for the regional project for the 132. That's for staff time that StanCog has. That's not for any of the contracting that we have with Tony Harris. Those go under the project, but this is just a portion of the regional money that StanCog uses for the staff time that we allocate for that. So that's the 132. The 125, the California 125 is a special grant that was awarded to StanCog, and that's to expand the rideshare program for the subsidies that they are paying out to the drivers. And then there's also a couple of other projects on there. One is for the buses for Stan RTA, and I forget what the third one was at this time, but the administrative cost on that, StanCog has certain admin money that goes to cover our costs associated to that project, and that's what that's for. And then what was the other one you asked me, Measure L?
No, it was the Measure L 132 project.
Okay.
But that's for staff time, the 817,000?
That's what we have allocated. It doesn't necessarily mean we're spending that much money on that. But that is for staff time and other costs associated to that. So it could also include like if there's printing costs or there's other costs associated that StanCog has to do for the 132 project in-house. So there could be other costs associated with that besides just staff time.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, for the original budget, or maybe it was the first amendment. So I understand the large difference is you had shifted it to compensate for contracts. What was the original budget for salaries? What's that increase overall percentage wise, if you happen to have that?
You mean from last year?
It's from this fiscal year. So you said the amendment inflects a shift from salaries into, budgeted contract services. So what was the original salaries and the increased percentage?
That would be for the amendment for fiscal year 25-26.
Yeah.
I believe we reduced salaries last year for fiscal year 25-26 by $1.4 million to cover administrative costs that they were incurring for the year and to cover additional admin costs. So we reduced our 25-26 salaries and benefits by $1.4 million in the amendment too.
So that means your beginning salaries and your proposed salaries for next fiscal year actually decreased?
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, I would spell that out. That helps with the message a little bit as far as the jump.
Thank you. Yes,
So,
because we actually went down. I think for 25-26, they had actually budgeted for 21 positions. And for 26-27, we reduced that to 17 positions.
yeah, just looking at the schedule, it seems like you have $1 million, jump, but it's due to the amendment and the contracts that you had to take care of, right? So it may help your message going forward.
That's a good point. I will make sure I make that when we see exec next week. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, I'll open up to the public for any comments. Seeing none, bring it back to the committee for such motion. I'll move approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Modesto and a second by Waterford. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item carries. We will move on to 5B, recommend the policy board approve a resolution authorizing the executive director to negotiate and execute an on-call professional services agreement with S Construction to board, fence, and sign vacant buildings related to the SR 132 project.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Tony Harris, Manager of Strategic Project Delivery, and I'm here to present the item today. I have a few slides to walk you through the background. This is all directly related to the State Route 132 West project. And next slide, please. Just a quick orientation is the actual project is from Needham all the way out to Gates. And the first portion of it you see in light blue has been constructed by the city of Modesto. What you see in the dashed line in red is a section that is currently being designed and right-of-way being acquired. In addition, we are acquiring right-of-way and doing design for the full build-out of the interchange at State Route 99. Next. I thought it'd be helpful to show this. This is how we label, because when I first started working on this, there was phase 1, phase 2, then became 2A, 2B, 3A, and then it got so confusing. All right. So we spent some time to go back and try to simplify it overall. So what you see in gray are those portions that Stancock is actually working on with Caltrans and coordinating with the county and the city on. And that is, Gates to Dakota, which we got funding from the California Transportation Commission last June, and we're actually working on to get to construction. And then you see the 99-132 interchange that we're currently working on design and acquiring right away. Next. So the Gates to Dakota, this would extend the portion that the city built. It will be a 2-lane expressway from where it ends today at Dakota all the way out to Gates. It will tie back into the existing 132 with a roundabout. There will be an overcrossing at Dakota Avenue and an overcrossing at Hart Road. Next. And for the interchange itself, those of you that use the facility know now that when you get on 132, you don't go directly onto State Route 99. This would actually create direct freeway to freeway connectors to and from the south onto the freeway, and also it would reconstruct the Kansas Avenue interchange with some improvements. So next, I want to talk a little bit about what this item is related to. Next slide, please. We're currently in the middle of doing design and right-of-way acquisition. And as you move forward, there's different activities we need to do. So next. So for Dakota to Gates, there are 24 acquisitions needed. We already have 5 agreements reached. The Stancock board has passed resolution necessity for all of the remaining parcels, and we expect that we would complete acquisitions before the end of the calendar year. Within that project, there are 5 buildings that needs to be removed. Next. On the interchange project, there are 41 acquisitions and there are 17 agreements reached with owners. There are 26 buildings that will need removal out there. Next, please. So currently, Stancock owns 6 buildings out there already, and we have moved forward with boarding, fencing, and signing those because of concerns for security purposes, homeless issues, and others in particular. For each one of those buildings, because they're different size buildings, different size properties, we did a minimum of 2 bids, and purchase orders totaling a little bit more than $49,000 have been executed so we can board those buildings. The intent of this procurement now is to put a procurement in place for all the remaining buildings. Next. So a request for qualification was issued in March 19th. We did a pre-proposal conference, and then actual submittals and everything came in with responses on April 2nd. The evaluation period was completed on April 16th. So next, I want to explain the evaluations. Next. So basically, FC Construction, which is a local Modesto firm, they submitted and they basically scored 85 out of 100. And staff is recommending that we move forward with an on-call professional service agreement with FC Construction. Next slide, please. I think we're missing a slide, so I'm going to do this off memory. For the request for qualification, there were multiple firms that downloaded it in overline. We only received 2 responses. All right. One response was from Paul Handyman LLC, and it was deemed to be non-responsive. Did not really submit the qualification. It was just like a 1.5 page response. It was a firm from out of the area in particular. So that was deemed as not being responsive. So we proceeded with the evaluation of FC construction, and that is why we're standing here asking for your support as we move forward to the exec committee and policy board to issue a on-call contract with FC construction. We will enter into a professional service agreement, and as buildings are acquired, we will ask them to actually develop a scope and cost because each building is different. And then based upon that, we will give them a notice to proceed building by building because they'll be acquired over time. So with that, I'll pause for any questions. This slide is for your information. If you're not aware, the project does have a website. You can go through it. There's more information there. You can scan the QR code, take you straight to it. But and we have a team that you can always email to, contact us, and we try to be as responsive as we can possibly be.
All right, any questions, Mr. Harris? Seeing none, I'll open up to the public. Seeing none, does this require a motion? I'll entertain a motion.
Second, Houston.
I have a motion from Waterford, second from Houston. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We'll go to 5C, receipt.
Mr. Harris, I want to say that was the most concise, clear, understandable presentation I've seen in a long time. I'd like to congratulate you on that. 'Cause I, for a while, wanted to understand all the little phases of 132, and that really helped me understand that. I wanted to go out and tell you thank you.
Thank you very much. And I will pass it on to the team. We have a wonderful team working on this. And I have to say, I'm not kidding. When I started thinking about 1, 2A, 2B, I got confused. So
14C, I'm just kidding. 5C is receive an update on the federal fiscal year 2027-2030 congestion mitigation, air quality, and surface transportation block grant funding round. Jose Luis?
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad you said that so I didn't have to. Uh, oh. Oh, I think I just advanced it. All right. Yes, hello. I'm your Director of Programming and Program Delivery, or I'm Stancog's Director of Programming and Program Delivery, Jose Luis Caceres. This is an update. There's no action. Just wanted to give everyone an update because this program has been a little bit delayed. The update starts with talking about where we started. We began in September 2024 with a series of workshops. Rather than program 2 years of funding, we had an opportunity to program 4 years of funding and catch up. Our region has been behind in getting programmed dollars. Each of your jurisdictions has a capital improvement program of projects, roads you're going to be rehabilitating. Your average jurisdiction probably has a 5-year CIP. Stancog, we should also have a CIP, projects that are funded, that are moving through the pipeline. Our CIP is our FTIP, Federal Transportation Improvement Program. And that CIP only goes out through this year, 2026. That's not right. And so since I came here with Stancog, the goal has been to try to fill that out. And this is the culmination of that goal. We are programming out 2 years plus 2 more years. Plus, I found 2 more years of old funding that I'll be talking about on the next slide. So we had an opportunity to do something different in this funding round. And that's why we did all of that that work leading up till April when we released a call for projects. And because we had so much money to give out, and this was a different program, we agreed with the agencies to give them plenty of time to apply. So the original deadline was September, and we even extended it until October. Now, our scoring committee should have met in December. Around the same time, we lost some staff. So we had to push back the scoring till March and April of 2026. The scoring committee has completed its work. During that time, the scoring committee pointed out that the CMAQ calculations, the congestion mitigation air quality calculations that show emission benefit reduction, they were inconsistent. Some of them used methods that weren't appropriate for the type of work. So we spent April and May meeting with every local agency to go over every CMAQ calculation and redo them. Now we're looking at bringing those recommendations to the policy board next month, June. This is just a slide to show that the money that we're estimating goes out for the years 27, 28, 29, 30, and it basically bills out like a 4-year CIP. And then we also have 25 million of prior year funds. After we program these projects, if 25 million of them want to hurry up and obligate, we can handle those 25 million and the 17 million programmed in available in 2017. But if everyone wanted to obligate, we would have a little bit more of a challenge because these dollars are meant to last. Now, a little bit of just some of the headlines. We already programmed some of these projects to non-competitive projects. Those are rideshare, staff costs out through 2030. So that's why it's 5.6 million. And then competitively, that left us a little over 90 million to program, total of 96 million available. We've received not quite double the request. It's 180% of the available funding. So there's $71 million of projects that we're not going to be able to fund. Now, actually, this is where I want to spend a moment. Since September 2024, we've actually received actuals instead of estimated apportionments, and we've seen some deobligations come in. And also, our region has received a one-time allotment of some special funds through a program called TIFIA. So there's actually a little bit more money available to program. There's been some deleted projects. So we actually think we can get that, we can, if the policy board would approve a revised fund estimate, we can actually afford to fund some of those projects that are on the cutoff. After when the board acts on this, we're also asking them to take the projects that aren't approved and to keep them on the same priority basis, the scoring that the scoring committee gave them, and have them be contingency projects. Should we get additional funding? Should there be new decisions made? We know exactly which projects we would fund first. So some challenges to our schedule have been the staffing changes. You may remember Blake Dunford. He was a star programmer here at Stancog. He left us last June. And your staff, which for programming it was just me. It was just me for a while. We've since hired Sophia So. She came to work with us in January. She didn't have all that same background that Blake Dunford had. So she's been learning, and I've had her working almost entirely on the FTIP, which is scheduled for adoption or action for adoption this August. So we've had our challenges for staffing, and then the CMAQ calculations have been a challenge. Our local agencies aren't trained up necessarily on how to do them. Your own staff needed some additional training on it. They are a bit of a challenge and need some reworking in our next funding round. We really should have a way of estimating the mission benefits of projects in a way that's not so technical or allows for sufficient time for that technical analysis. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions, staff? I'll open up to the public. Bring it back. This was just an update, correct?
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you, Jose Luis. Go to 5D. Recommend the policy board approve amendment 3 to the professional services agreement with Point C LLC.
Great, thank you. I'll take this item. This is a contract amendment number 3 to agreement with Point C. You just heard from Tony Harris, who's been providing project management services for Stancog for several years now, since it's like 2021. And this is, it's been done on, it appears, an annual basis thus far. And so it's to continue mostly project management services for 132. But also, as you can see here, he provides management services for several other projects going on in the region. And obviously but his services are absolutely critical for our team and moving this project forward. And you'll see, you just got an update from him on 132 today for that one item, but at our board meeting, he'll be doing a presentation, overall presentation update on 132, where we're at with all phases, because we have several action items at that meeting, 132 as well. So this contract extends it one more year for not to exceed amount of 175,000. I will make an actual, I think, correction to a question and a statement that Mr. Lopez had asked about the budget for this is covered in that Measure L regional project money. So his contract is in the budget under that revenue source, and then you'll see it in the project budget under Schedule 3 reflects this as well. So that's where this is budgeted.
Any questions? All right, I'll open up to the public. Seeing none, bring it back for a motion.
Motion to approve Riverbank?
Got a motion from Riverbank, second from Oakdale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, motion carries. Go to 5E, recommend the policy board approve amendment 1 to the professional services agreement for Sigala Inc.
Great, thanks. Jean Folletta, Deputy Director of Operations. This is to extend the contract term to June 30, 2027, and increase the compensation by $150,000. StanCog is tasked with administering the Regional Early Action Planning Grant, or REAP 2.0 program, for transformative planning and implementation activities, which include integrating housing transformative planning and implementation activities such as integrating housing and climate goals by reducing VMT and accelerating infill housing in support of the region's SCS or alternative planning strategy as applicable. Sagala Inc. provides technical and full administrative support for the jurisdictions for implementing REAP. Amendment 1 is needed as the REAP program has been extended to December 31st, 2026 for all recipients. Originally, the closeout was June 30, 2026. To support closeout activities such as final financing, coordination, and reporting, additional time is required to June 30, 2027. Post-expenditure activities can extend up to 2 years. A higher level of staffing after the contract was underway was needed after the loss of Deputy Executive Director of Planning left the agency. Since then, Sagala Inc. has taken on full administration of the project. The engagement requires extensive coordination with staff across all StanCog jurisdictions, HCD, and StanCog. Due to the project extension and the higher level of engagement by Sagala Inc., an allocation of $150,000 for an amended contract through June 2027 is requested. That concludes my report.
Any questions, staff? And now I'll open up the public. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the committee for a possible motion.
Motion to approve? Second Riverbank?
Glad we're getting additional participation here with these motions. I got a motion from Oakdale and a second from Riverbank. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll move on to 5F, recommend the policy board approve amendment 2 to the professional services agreement with Infinity Technology.
Great, thank you so much. So this is Amendment 2 with Infinity Technologies in an amount not to exceed $110,730 for a 5-month period. The current scope of services includes on-site and 24/7 remote help desk, general IT services and infrastructure, virtual and on-site meeting facilitation, website maintenance, phone system maintenance, and data maintenance and security. The complete scope is detailed in amendment or in attachment 1. This extends the term to September 30, 2026 at $22,146 monthly or $110,730 for 730 for the 5-month extension. During this time of the 5-month term, we will be going through an RFP process to procure a permanent vendor for IT services beginning in October 2026. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions, staff? Seeing none, I'll open up the public. Seeing none, bring it back to committee for a motion.
Motion to approve Newman.
A motion from Newman, second from Patterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope, motion carries. Jean. All right, we'll go on to agenda item 6, information, A through D's. Anybody have any questions or comments on those items? Seeing none, we'll go to agenda item 7, executive report.
I think I'll keep this one short, but nice to see everybody again. I'm 1 month in and just getting used to things here and getting caught up on everything. But clearly, you know, the focus has been on finances, and you saw today, it's still a work in progress, but we're getting there. And appreciate, you know, your working with us on it and just working towards providing more detail and being more transparent. So I appreciate the patience as we're working on that. We are recruiting on 2 key positions. Our finance director position, we had 34 applications. We're interviewing 6 people this week. I'm hopeful we'll find somebody soon to get in that role. And then we have a planning director recruitment where we did first round interviews with 4 really well qualified planning directors, and I'll be interviewing them next week. So hopefully get that position filled as well. So those are some key leadership positions here that I'm hopeful for. And then at our last MFC meeting, you created a subcommittee to continue the salary, class, and comp, and provide recommendations on that. And I believe we have the first meeting scheduled for next week. So we do have that on the books, and hopefully we'll bring an update at the next meeting on that. And then just an update on the audits. Still continuing the 23-24 and 24-25 audits. The 23-24, we finally have closed those books, and then working on hopefully getting the audit by June. So those are coming along. And so that's my update.
Great, thank you. We'll go on to agenda item 8, Caltrans report.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Stephen Martinez from Caltrans District 10, Transportation Planning. Just a couple quick updates. At the end of last month, Caltrans honored 195 fallen highway workers at our 36th annual memorial ceremony. We highlighted road safety. It was hosted in West Sacramento at the Riverwalk Park. The 36th annual memorial was dedicated to memory of construction inspector Madi Koram, who was killed on September 18, 2025. Highway and construction work is one of the most dangerous occupations we have in the state. So we always ask everybody to be careful. Our secretary, Omishakin, last year he has a policy on road safety. And in 2022, Caltrans instituted a new director's policy on road safety. We're committed to a safe system approach, a strategy that anticipates human mistakes and prevents them from becoming fatal to every aspect of transportation policy, design, education, and enforcement. And also we have a couple openings in our mountain areas. So we have a winter pass traffic advisory, our monitor pass opening of Highway 89. That's going to be open for the year. We also have Highway 4 spring final pass clearing update. So that's Ebbets Pass will be open. We opened the John Erecta rest area on Highway 5. So that's also open and near Merced County. And also the Sonora Pass, Highway 108, that has also reopened from the winter closure. And the last one is our Highway 140 advisory at Mariposa. So we'll have some one-way traffic control, but everything's open there as well. Thank you.
For that report, we'll go on to agenda item 9, member reports.
Mr. Chair, if I can. I wanted to thank Jean for expanding on the items, as we requested last time some additional details on when bringing those amendments to existing agreements. So appreciate including those additional information. Thank you.
Any other member reports? All right, I'll call the meeting adjourned at 3:39.
Oh, really? You need to be the chair for this point forward. He's just second year. He's going to step off. I understand.